tax deed investing course. So what do you do? Where do you find it? How do you know if it's good or bad? I would say, first of all, there are some really good courses out there and there are some stinkers. And what you need to know about tax deed investing is, first of all, it is tricky. You have to know what you're doing. This is no place for an uneducated person to go and spend their money. And you don't want to learn by doing, because you're putting up money to buy houses and you get some really nasty surprises. Just for example, a lot of places, there's some liens that survive the sale. Like in Pennsylvania, there's one sale where the mortgages survive the sale. There are other sales in other parts of the country where you have to pay grass cutting fines and municipal charges, even though it went through tax sale. And those can be enormous if you don't know what you're doing and you don't check ahead of time. So you need to make sure that you know what survives the sale, if anything. If anything does survive the sale, how to screen the property to know if that type of lien is on there. And you really just need to know what you're doing. There are other places, like for example in Illinois, you buy a tax lien, they have 2.5 years to pay off that lien. And if they pay it off, you don't get the property. You get an interest rate on your money, but that's not what you want if you want the property. And you have to wait 2.5 years before you get the property. That's crazy. So, this is not a field for the inexperienced. So whoever you follow, you need to make sure that they've been doing this for a very, very long time. I have a guy I'm going to suggest to you at the end who actually has a different way of doing it that is far different than anybody else, because what most people are teaching is suboptimal, to put it mildly. It's just not the way to do it. And you are very well advised to pick up some of the courses that are out there and read through them. Read through more than one, because you're going to find they have some different advice. And then when you're ready to actually start bidding, you want to engage some local expertise to learn the ins and outs in that area, because there's some weird specialty things that go on. Like, here's an example. So Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, where I was active for a long, long time buying properties, they have something called the upset price sale that happens the third week in September of every year. Still happens, been going on forever. At that sale, things come under and subject to mortgages. And you have to do like a mini title search on every property before you buy it, because if there's a mortgage, it's staying on the property. And you got to pay it off or you can lose the property to a foreclosure, and you can't fix up the property or anything else. So you need to make sure that you know that, because that's different than virtually everywhere else. Matter of fact, if you went to the neighboring county, which is Philadelphia County, in that county, mortgages do get wiped out. But in Philadelphia, there's something called a right of redemption, that for a certain amount of time after the sale, the owner can come, pay the taxes, and keep the property. Now, you get your money back for the bid, but they still get to keep the property. In Montgomery County, there is no right of redemption. So you have to know all these things. If you don't know them, then you're heading for not a world of financial success, but a world of financial hurt. I have a friend who does this business, and he does it a little bit differently. And I'll tell you more about him in a minute, but let me just give you a little bit of the view on it. He, rather than going to the auctions, gets lists of properties that have already been through a foreclosure process, and now they're just sitting there waiting for someone to just pay the taxes that are due and take the property. And there, you just have like a list. Like, I was looking at a list the other day that was literally over 10,000 properties on that list. And I'm looking at it like mind boggled. I'm like, he's like, he said, you can't look at them all. So you just look at them until you find one you like, then you buy it. You find another one you like and you buy it. He said, there's lots of stinkers on there, but lots of good ones too. And he said, so our process is about just choosing the good ones quickly and easily. And he said, what's great about it is there's no competition. You can check out at your leisure whether there are any other liens or anything like that. He said, we have a whole process for doing that. That is by far the best way to do it, because at the regular auctions, here's the process. You get the list of properties that are scheduled to be sold at tax deed auction. Typically, that comes up about 45 days before the sale. Sometimes a little longer, like 60 days, sometimes a little shorter, like 30 days. So it comes up, and then you have to start doing your due diligence, meaning checking out the properties. Because you do need to look, meaning put physical eyes on each property that you're thinking about buying, because you don't know if it's fire damaged, waterlogged wreck, or if it's even a standing property or not, unless you look at it. And you don't want to put down your good money that's a non-refundable deposit on a property that's not going to amount to anything. You don't want to do that. So you do have to look at each property, and typically these sales lists are very, very large. Like if you went to, say, Baltimore County, Maryland, that list is north of 30,000 properties every year. That's way too much to look at in 45 days, impossible. Even where I was very active, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, about 3,500 properties on that list. Again, only published 45 days in advance. I can't look at that many properties. But you have to look at each property you're going to bid on, So you need a strategy for that. So my strategy was I would look within a couple of zip codes. I would say, all right, let me take these 10 zip codes and I'll see all of these properties. And then if I have more time, I'll go see more properties, but I'm gonna see all of those. Also use electronic due diligence. Like for example, I pull up properties on Google Maps and I look at them. I look at the street view, I look at the street, look at the house on Google Maps and see what I can learn about it. I do internet research because I can do that more quickly than driving by properties. And I'm doing my internet research first and then driving by the properties that survive after the internet research. You've got to do those things because once you buy it, there's no refund, there are no open houses, there's no home inspection, there's none of that. It's cash in the barrel head, you buy it, it's yours, you deal with it, you deal with any problems with it. So you need to make sure that you do that due diligence. And also these are cash deals. These are not ones where you're going to get a mortgage to buy it. Mortgage companies can't participate in it. There's also title issues that are typical where either you have to do something called a quiet title action that involves attorneys 4 to 6 months and $3,000 to $4,000, or you have to contract with a company like Tax Title Services, see if they're willing to insure title on that property, which sometimes they are. So that can be a great way to do it. But you have to know all these things before you go out and buy. It's good to get a course, but then you need your local expertise. And your local expertise is going to take the form of a local attorney who deals with tax sales and representing buyers at tax sale. They do things like help with title issues, help with confirming sales, help with evicting residents that are still there, like maybe it's a tenant that's just a holdover that isn't paying you rent, or it's a former owner that you've got to evict because they won't leave, which is a very sad situation, but this is the business. You'll sometimes have that. So you'll need an attorney. So what you would do there is just do a Google search, how do tax sales work in Muncie, Indiana? And what you'll find is attorneys that have written articles trying to attract clients. And these are men and women that are trying to attract that kind of business. They'll write an article and then clients will come in and will service those clients. So that's a good way to get aligned an attorney that can help you with what needs to be done for due diligence, can help you when you have a property that you bought, can help you get that to completion, and can really help you out. So that's one person. Then the second person is someone who has the investing experience. That can be someone like my friend Tony. It could be someone that works the local sales. I would say generally speaking, you're better off hiring an expert who's not one of your competitors because I don't know what kind of good information a competitor is going to give you. So I would say probably next step with that is click on the video link down below and check out my video, which is the interview with Tony, where you'll meet a guy who could be a great mentor and who does teaching as a business. He also does the investing, but he does teaching as a business. He's exceptional. And he has a method of doing this where instead of getting this property list 45 days in advance, he just get catalogs of properties that are available for the taxes that are owed. He has a process where you go through the list, you grade the properties, you pick the ones that are good, you leave the losers behind. And that is a great way to do it. And it even helps you with the exit strategy. Like, do you keep it as a rental? Do you fix it up as a flip? Do you pre-wholesale it, meaning just clean it out with a dumpster and clean up the shrubbery and then sell it? That can be a very good strategy, especially for a beginner. He can help you with all those things and is a great mentor. Good friend of mine, really great guy. So I would say next step is go check that video out. That'll be your next step in your learning curve. So click the link down below. It's my interview with Tony. It's 20 minutes long. It's free right here on YouTube. And if you're interested after that, Tony offers classes and courses and mentoring and things like that. He's a great guy to learn from. If I were sitting in your shoes thinking about how do I get started, that is the person I would link up with because he's going to help you to be successful right from the beginning. So this is attorney and tax deed investor Bob Diamond. Been great being here with you today. Hope this is useful. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any other follow-up questions, put them down below. I'll get to them as I can. And meanwhile, greatest of luck having success. I've done really well with tax deed sales. You can too. Just get your education first. And definitely check out what my friend Tony has because like I said at the beginning, I wish I'd had his methods when I started. I would have gotten richer a lot faster following Tony. So word from the wise, go check his stuff out and I'll see you over in that video.